everyone. I just wanted to make it clear that this video was made for the beginner. For those of you who have made sugar scrub before, you will find it goes pretty slow, but at one point we were all beginners, so I hope the beginner appreciates this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hi everyone, this is Robin with Desert Moon Bath and Body, and today we're going to make emulsified sugar scrub. With all the wonderful ingredients in this recipe, it ends up being like a lotion. Your hands and or your body just feel so moisture rich when you're done using it. This is a tutorial for beginners. For those of you that have made it before, you can skip through this part of the video. I've chosen to use glass jars. They're little bale jars. And let me just zoom down to the work area and get my mug out of the picture. And we are going to start with cleaning them all. These come packaged in a cardboard box, so they get little flakes of cardboard packing material in them. I've rinsed them out with water. So what you should do is go through each one with a solution of Clorox and water, or you can just use 90% alcohol. And I just spritz the inside of each one. And I'm going to go through every one of these and clean them out. And then what I do is just take a paper towel and just wipe it out. Make sure they're nice and clean. If you get your jars and they're packaged real nicely and they're clean, you really don't need to do this. But if you question any of it, then I would do it. So I'm going to pause the video while I finish cleaning all of my jars. Let them air out a little bit. I just kind of gently wipe them so there's not a lot of fluid, residual fluid left, Clorox solution left in the bottom. Then I just kind of let them air dry. So I'll be back in just a minute and we'll get started. Okay, I'm back. I also wanted to mention when you clean your containers out, you can use alcohol. Actually, alcohol dries a little faster. So whatever you have on hand. You're going to need a scale. I already have my beeswax, emulsifying wax, and stearic acid all weighed out in this Pyrex container. Now what I'm going to do with it is just microwave it on about 1 minute bursts with the power at 50%. Let me move the scale out of the way. And then you're going to need any oils of your choice. I've chosen mainly almond oil. I've added some rice bran oil, soybean oil, and avocado oil. I like these because they're just, the combination is a little less greasy. I also use sunflower oil, but I ran out. It's more cost effective, especially if you're just, trying it out and you don't want to invest in the little more expensive oils. And then I've used coconut oil. This is the 76 degree coconut oil. All of these ingredients are available on our website through Etsy, Desert Moon Bath and Body, if you're interested. We sell them in smaller batches for people who just kind of want to, not buy big quantities. I have my sugar all measured out. I'm making a large, I think it's 128 ounces of sugar scrubs, and I divide it into two so that I can add the other mixture a little at a time. It's easier to stir. I'll show you that as we go along though. And then I also add a preservative. You really don't need a preservative if you're going to make this for home use. It's used for people that might splash water into it, and the the sugar scrub could therefore develop mold, yeast, bacteria. But if you're just using it at home and you're careful not to get water in it, you can bypass the preservative. But if you're selling it, I highly recommend using a mild preservative, or if you're giving it for gifts. You'd hate for them to one day open the container and have it be full of nasty, icky stuff. So I'm going to melt this down, and then I also am going to melt this down a little bit. You have to, if you're using a preservative, make sure that these aren't too hot, otherwise it'll deactivate the preservative. And I'll tell you how you can tell that without even using a thermometer. Okay, quick pause, be right back. Okay, here you can see how it's starting to melt. It looks like the beeswax, of course, is the hardest substance out of the three, so it's going to be the last to dissolve and melt. The emulsifying wax and the stearic acid and some of the beeswax is already melted, but just the heat from it, just giving it a stir and letting it sit, it will melt. Or you can just be careful at this stage to heat it up a little more. I like to just kind of let the heat that's left over in the container finish melting it. That way you don't overheat it and you don't have to wait for it to cool down. I ended up doing it at full power for like maybe 3 minutes, I think. But you can see what works best for you with your microwave. So I'm just going to let this continue to melt in the Pyrex. If I have to, I'll just do a couple 30-second bursts to help it along, but we'll see how it goes, and I'll be right back again. Okay, where was I? So I'm going to add, like I said, it's almost like making a lotion without the water. We're going to use sugar. So this is all the other oils, and you can see as soon as you start adding that, this wants to kind of, I don't know what the word is, but the oil with the waxes just kind of create a reaction and want to harden up. So just keep stirring, and it'll get, see how it's getting kind of cloudy? And that's okay, that's what you want. Can you see that? It kind of almost clumps up a little bit. I'm just going to keep stirring. It almost turns almost like into a gel. Now I'm going to add a little bit of the warm coconut oil just to kind of help dissolve it a little. You don't need a stick blender. I've got a little wooden stick tongue blade here. Now a little more of the cooler oils. And there's a little bit of coconut oil in the bottom of here, because this one wasn't big enough to weigh it all out, so I put it in with the other oils. Can you see that? How it's almost like a gel. It's gotten thick. Okay, now we're going to add it to the sugar. Now, I have used my KitchenAid mixer for this, but it just makes too big of a mess. So I put half, like I said, I'm making a big batch. I put half of the sugar, and then I slowly just start incorporating the rest. This is pretty close to the top. I probably should have used a bigger bowl, but that's okay. If you're sure that this isn't too hot at this point, you can add your preservative. But what I'm going to do is just pour a little of this to get it off the top here. the last of my oil that I had because I didn't use a big enough container into the waxy mixture. And you just keep mixing. It looks clumpy at first, but it'll all emulsify and come together so nicely. And you want it this cloudy look, otherwise it's too hot and not mixed up. You know, you'd want it to cool down just a little bit. Got just a little bit more oil in here. We don't want to waste any. And I always like to add my oil to my waxes in the container rather than vice versa because it makes cleanup easier. See, when you're making such a big batch, if you mix half at a time. I sell to the local nail salon. I used to just sell them 128 ounces and they'd use it for the bathroom, but I think the owner decided after a year of doing it, she didn't want to invest the money in it anymore, and so now they make their own, and I still sell mine in the jars in the salon, but they make their own to put in the bathroom, and it's really gross. It separates. You see oil. You see the sugar on the bottom, the oil on the top. It's nothing, not as near as nice as this. And I was giving it to them for wholesale price. It was really cheap. I mean, the fragrance oil, I'd have to use like 4 ounces of essential oil in it, and I really wasn't making a lot of money. So whatever. At least I'm able to still promote it in the salon, which is nice of them. Okay, so you can kind of see it pretty much looks like the mush. I wished I had better light. I'm going to go ahead and add some more sugar. See if I can get this closer. Sorry, you guys. Bear with me. I'm not a cinematographer here. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the preservative because I'm fairly confident this is down. The waxes are down to a pretty cool stage. And then I'll just mix it all in really well. The entire batch. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep mixing and stirring rather than bore you guys with this until I have all my sugar, all my waxes emulsified, and then I'll show you. From there you add your fragrances. I'm going to be using 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different fragrances throughout this 128 ounce batch. So I'm going to pause it and I'll be back. Okay, I finally got it all mixed up, and this is what it looks like. And it will get a little stiffer as it sets up. The yellow beeswax gives it a real pale yellow color. But if you want to add coloring, you would do it at this stage. Add your coloring, add your fragrance oil, and then package it up. I'll measure out what I need for each jar, like I'm doing 4 of them, so I'll do about 30 ounces and just kind of do it that way. I'm not going to color it. If I were to color it, I would use mica because it's more natural. But I just think the yellow, the pale yellow, is really pretty. But like I said, I haven't seen that the yellow pastels interfere with coloring it at all. It's such a pale yellow. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Be sure to leave your comments. If you're interested in the recipe, you can find it through our Etsy store listed below. All the proceeds go to Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. It's a no-kill animal rescue site. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you get a chance, stop by and give us your like on Facebook, and have a happy upcoming holiday. Over and out.